Thank you. Okay, next let's talk about some other precinct resources that we have. Your county party. The county party provides things such as we mentioned earlier, the targeted voter list. Now these are normally sorted according to the interests of the political party. So they're not like the raw list you get from the elections department or the lists you buy and tailor to your own needs offline. Usually these are aimed at the voters that the party has identified are most likely to vote for that party. Parties also have web resources for precinct chairman that you can get at through the party website, usually through some kind of a logon. They're very, very valuable. Meetings and strategy sessions. Your county party will have meetings and training events and opportunities to get with the candidates. They'll have dinner events where candidates talk, issues, forums, and that. These are all also very, very valuable. Plug in your people into these meetings and strategy sessions so they know what's going on, so you get some energy and some excitement with the people that are your volunteers. Next, parties also schedule walks and activities. As we can say, I boxed these areas in. Stuff in the box is most important as you get into that 6 to 8 week out before the election. Those scheduled walks and those activities are key. These are the times when you're actually getting out there and trying to help the candidates that need the most help by getting out into their precincts and walking for them, putting out literature, talking with prospective voters. There's meet the candidate sessions. Make sure you take advantage of these things. Take some of your block captains with you when you go to these things so they get to know these candidates. I tell you, it is invaluable when you're working a precinct to be able to go, when you're going door to door, to talk to people and say, yeah, I don't know who this person is that's running for county clerk. Well, you can say, hey, I've met them. They're a great person, etc., etc. The fact that your block workers have met these people is a tremendous advantage when they come doing door to door with people who are just starting to wake up because it's about 6 weeks before the election. Parties also have victory centers where you can get literature, you can get large fence signs, yard signs, you can get campaign forms, you can even get all little campaign pookie, like the cup holders and other things that I never spent money on when I was a candidate. Now, let's also look at another precinct resource that's come of age just in the last few years, and that is the social networking sites, things like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Your ability to send tweets out to all the workers in your precinct is an excellent way of getting out some information. Text messaging and other things you can do off cell phones as well. That works extremely well. People have set up Facebook groups for their precinct, and that works also. LinkedIn has groups that you can do where you got names and the like on there, and you can get these communities of interest together in your precinct, get them organized, and have an online resource where you can post information and times of meetings and the information you've got from the party or from the organization that you're supporting, like, for example, a Tea Party group. Free software. One of the things you're going to need, and one of the things your block captains are going to need, is they're going to have software to be able to deal with the data you get. I am a huge fan of OpenOffice, www.openoffice.org. Writer, Calc, Impress, Draw, and Base. These are all compatible with the Microsoft. These are compatible with the Microsoft Office suite, and they allow you to open and use Microsoft Office files or produce files that can be used on Microsoft Office. You'll notice that some of your volunteers don't have the financial resources to run out and buy the Microsoft suite of tools. If they do, great. But if they don't, what you can do is what I do with mine, and that is get them a copy of openoffice.org. It's free. It comes from reputable sources. It's not coming from Akbar, the jihadist virus mill. It's actually quality software that does a tremendous job. This PowerPoint presentation you're seeing today was actually produced on OpenOffice Impress. Another thing I would also point out is if you're handing out lists of data, a lot of your lists that are provided come in access format, which, by the way, Base on OpenOffice will process. And that database information, when you give a database information, give them something that they can open it and use it with, so they can make the adds and subtracts and deletes as they need to get your precinct database up to snuff. Okay, let's talk about the commitment it's going to take. How much time is it going to take? Well, if you're going to walk an entire precinct voter list, it's going to take you between 5 and 8 hours for a precinct the size of mine. If you're going to do a literature drop, it's 3 to 5 hours. We're talking a precinct that's about 2,800 people. Okay, a wallpaper drop, 8 to 12 hours, and that's putting a piece of literature on every door. Money, what's it going to cost? Well, a meet and greet is going to cost you about $50 to $200 depending on the level of refreshments you're willing to provide. Yard signs, some campaigns, especially disadvantaged campaigns, will often have to charge for yard signs. So you can expect to pay $2 to $5 per sign depending upon on the side. Sometimes the big yard signs are like $20 a piece. Materials, $20 to $100 for materials. Well, what kind of materials are we talking about? Clipboards, bags. One thing I like to get is I go down to one of the local art supply places and I get these white canvas bags. People use them to paint designs on and all that stuff to make party bags and that. But these make excellent bags for carrying literature. You can slap your candidate sticker on it or your group sticker on it and use that as you go out about doing your precinct work. And these things cost a couple of dollars a piece and you can use them over and over. I've been using them, the set I have, for probably 8 years now. Next, energy. What's it going to take in the way of energy? You will need to give up some of your TV time. If you're going to do this, you're going to some of the recreational diversion activities you do are going to fall by the wayside because this does take some time. You'll also have less time for recreation and travel because your travel and your vacation time is going to start fitting itself in around the political calendar. There is a pulse of the political calendar. There's primary season. There's the fall season leading up to Canada, and those seasons are you're going to have to start scheduling your vacations and your family activities around those things if you're going to be effective in doing precinct work. Okay, special challenges of precinct work. Irate people. You'll bang on the door and someone will come and say, "Ah, you just ruined my nap. I hate you and I hate your candidate too." Well, what you do in that case? You apologize, thank them for their time, and say you'll come back at some other time. You'll get the person saying, "I think all politicians are crooks and you're probably a crook too." Well, there's not a lot you can do about that, so again, thank them for your time and move on. Always try to be cheerful and pleasant even when people are abusive and irritable. Next, you'll get the person that says, "Get off my property and stop wasting my time." Well, just obey them. It's their property. Leave, thank them again for their time. When you're out of sight, shake the dust off your shoes at them, I guess. All right, scary dogs. You got 3 types of scary dogs. There's the insane dog that goes wild when the homeowner's not home. I've seen these where you bang on the door and all of a sudden this dog goes crazy. Next thing you know, it's pulling down the drapes and it's knocking over lamps. And usually that's a good time to just sort of leave literature on the door and leave. The insane dog that goes wild while you talk to the homeowner. I've had one dog where the homeowner was trying to hold it back while he's talking to me, and the dog lunged, he grabbed the collar, and the dog dragged him all the way out into the yard. Well, now your special problem is trying to make sure that you don't add to this poor fellow's embarrassment. So you talk to him about things about how much you love dogs, and by the way, have you considered my candidate? Next, threatening dogs that prowl the precinct. Dog spray is your friend. We had one campaign where we were walking in this precinct that had a very bad problem with vicious dogs. And one of my workers was walking and he hooked up with one of the postal clerks, postman who was walking the precinct. The guy said, "Don't walk this precinct alone because of the dogs." And sure enough, this giant dog jumps over a fence and stands there looking at him. And this postman, he was like Wyatt Earp. Pulls back his postal bag, exposing 4 cans of doggy spray, snatches 2 of them off his belt and says, "All right, Fifi, I want some more of this." And the dog jumped back in the backyard and they went on their way putting out the stuff. That same dog, by the way, in another one of my campaigns, actually chased 2 of my opponent's workers completely out of the precinct, and in fact ate their fabric lunch bags, because I got a call from the lady who owned the dog. Okay, so dogs are a threat. You do have to make some provision in some neighborhoods because some places don't have as good animal control as others. Next, uninformed or malicious officials. You're going to get some people who are going to tell you things that are not true, like, "I'm sorry, sir, but you need a permit to canvass this precinct." No, you don't. You do not need a permit to engage in the First Amendment protected activity of canvassing a precinct. Some will say, "Oh, can't you read? The sign says no soliciting." Well, the fact is you're doing canvassing or you're doing literature job, you are not soliciting. You are going out there and doing a First Amendment activity of bringing people political information about an election in a free society. It's a small price to pay for freedom, is what I tell people, is putting up with me coming to their door a couple of times a year. Finally, it says we have an ordinance against going door to door. No, they don't. And the reason you don't have an ordinance doing that is because every city has a city council, and city councilmen have to run for office. So I guarantee you they have no ordinance against campaigning. Finally, I need to see some ID. No, you really don't need to provide that either. You can if you like, but it's not required.